Hey there, YouTube land, and tonight I'm going to do my 31 Days of Horror review that I was supposed to do last night. I'm about ready to watch a movie, but I decided to do a review and basically a little vlog thing because I wanted to do a talk and see what you guys thought about this subject. And it's not a controversial subject or anything like that. We're just going to be talking. And see if something you want me to talk about in the future. So just hold on a second. I'm just going to turn on the light here because it's a little dark. And apparently smashed some stuff. Oh, no, I do not. No. Yeah, that would have been really fun. Erase my files? I don't think so. Anyway, last night I watched Nightmare in Canada. And it's a documentary. I saw it the first time, I think, on MoviePix. And Nightmare in Canada talks about basically the horror films that originated here in good old Canada. They're a different breed of horror films than, say, over in the United States. Many ways, I think that we tend to go out sometimes like we're emulating other areas, but our Canadiana shines through. And it's kind of a good thing. Take a slasher film, for instance. If you're watching a Friday the 13th or something like that, usually the girl that's the purist, or you can pretty much tell who the final girl is. She's not going to smoke weed and she's not going to be drinking a lot. She's not going to have premarital sex and all that stuff. And if she has, then she's kind of reformed. It's not that way here in Canada. Morality tales don't really play so much of a part. One of our most famous slasher films was a movie called Black Christmas. Actually, it kind of started this whole thing in 1974. And, people go back and talk about Psycho and all these other films, but no, Black Christmas pretty much gave that blueprint that John Carpenter would follow in '78 with the movie Halloween. Go back and watch the original Black Christmas. You would not believe how much is taken point of view. So, anyway. Did John Carpenter approve on it? Some people think so. I don't. But the girl that you kind of expect to survive isn't the one that really, goes for. I mean, like the innocent girl, not so much. Actually, the final girl is a girl that's actually she's having an abortion. She's pregnant. She's gonna have an abortion. Not the usual, typical final girl, and it was kind of the way that it went in a lot of these films. From My Bloody Valentine to just we tended to do like different stuff, and because we live in a colder climate, we do a lot of either man against nature films or somehow utilize our environment, the coldness within the whole aspect of the films that we make. And the movie Nightmare in Canada really delved into that a bit and told some really neat stuff. What was really cool about it was that Ida von Belkom, who was a Canadian horror author, was on the documentary quite a bit actually. And one of the neat things about that, and the sad things too, was there was a channel that we had here in Canada called Scream TV. It was amazing, and it did show some really great stuff. I mean, I saw some John Rowland stuff on there. I remember seeing some nasty stuff. Just originally, it had a lot of really cool kick-ass balls to the wall type of stuff, and then they changed it around. They tried to make it more mainstream. Then they tried to make it more towards the which is insulting actually. They call it dusk instead. Wanted to make it more for females as well. And I think I'm not going to speak for the female horror fan, but I think I would be quite insulted if anybody wanted to define the type of movie that I'd be watching based upon my genre. I'm sure there's just as many girls out there that are horror fans that'll watch a movie like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Eaten Alive, or I don't know, Jack Frost or Silent Deadly Night, as will watch what they considered tamer horror for the fair sex. So yeah. But unfortunately, the channel went under after it became dusk. It became something else. and we no longer have a horror channel here. Although Terror TV, what the hell happened to you? That's supposed to come around. Nightmare in Canada, if you have not checked it out, it just runs a little bit over 60 minutes long. It's just a really cool documentary. It runs at a really fast pace. There's some great clips in there. If you are familiar with Canadian horror, then you're gonna enjoy this like tremendously. If you're not familiar with Canadian horror, it's gonna open your eyes a bit, actually a lot, to exactly what we have to offer here. There's a lot of Canadians, and this is the thing. We're pretty self-deprecating, and just when it comes to a lot of things, we're not as filled with as much of the national pride all the time as we should be. It's kind of like it's different, but it's our nationality sort of thing. We're proud of Canada, we're proud of our roots and stuff like that, but we're just like don't wear it on our sleeve type of thing. And because of that, it gives us a unique look, and sometimes we tend to downplay some of the stuff that we've accomplished, and especially in cinema, television cinema. Canadian television cinema is incredible. There's some amazing stuff. I think that I am the writer and hopefully the reviewer that I am because of my roots, because of where I'm from, the type of movies and the type of stuff that I grew up with and grew around. Whereas I'm at the time, I just wanted to go off to the United States or Europe or whatever, and kind of but like every guy or girl does when they're growing up, they want to everywhere but home is kind of the place you want to be. And I was no different. Anyway, as I grew up and matured, I kind of learned that this stuff around me was actually pretty damn cool, and I was kind of getting into it. I mean, I love, out of all the horror that I've got here, Black Christmas, the 1974 version, tends to be one of my favorite films. I love the movie, the original film, When a Stranger Calls, not the crappy remake. No, it wasn't that. It was compared to the original, it was crappy. I love the original When a Stranger Calls. It is 15 to 20 minutes of utter terror at the beginning of the film, then a character piece of and that's the thing that it can do, and a lot of films couldn't do this. It takes like this 20 minutes of utter terror, and some people just utterly want to throw away the film after the opening because well, we can end it there. It's be a short film, but it kind of delves more into that. It goes more into the psyche of the killer, till there's the inevitable kind of spiraling down of him again. We get to really see a different part. Usually, the first 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls, the original film, would be the ending of another film. But it went in a different way. And it did that because it was originally a short film. Movies like Black Christmas, movies like the whole Cronenberg series of early films, Shivers, Rabid, very different films. But I'm kind of going off to a tangent like the Canadian horror, but there's a lot of really, really great Canadian horror. But one of my favorites will always be Black Christmas. It'll always be one of my favorite films. I grew up with it. It was one of the biggies with me. That being said, Nightmare in Canada, the movie we're talking about, because it inspired this whole talk on Canadian horror, and I want to do a talk on Canadian horror sometime. This is just barely scratching the surface. I'll be honest with you guys, there was a time that I was going to write a book on the whole Canadian horror boom in the 1980s and the mid 70s, stuff like Cannibal Girls and stuff like that, just really cheesy stuff that Ivan Reitman did. But anyway, it gets a perfect score. It's an amazing documentary. 5 out of 5 bloody snowballs. What else did I want to talk about? I don't think I'm going to talk about that right now. I plan to do kind of a vloggy type of thing, but I've been reading a bit recently, like a lot of comics and stuff like that, kind of getting back to my roots and stuff. And the one that I really enjoyed is I went back to read a lot of the Image stuff back in the day when when they all kind of jumped from Marvel to get into doing Image comics, and so I'm starting to read Spawn over again. I'm starting to reread Shadowhawk, Savage Dragon, just some of the great early stuff. Wildstorm. Uh, Got to read some Supreme, because I found a lot of the stuff really, really good. But I'm not going to do this one justice right now. Tell you what, we will do this comic vlogs thing next time. Because right now I'm in the middle of getting ready to watch a movie. So it's time for tea. It's time for a movie. Sorry I seem a little bit flighty, but I got some emails I've got to answer right now. And then I want to watch a horror movie before I go to bed. So the comic vlogs continued. Next time we're going to get into comics. And if you guys want me to talk about Canadian horror and Canadian horror content and films through the years, let me know in the description box, in the comment boxes down below, and we'll do so. Thanks for watching. Sorry this is kind of jumbled, but I'm getting a bunch of emails that are distracting me. Have a great night. Thanks for watching, and I have another email. It's time for tea. Thanks, guys.